Hello, it's me, Super 8-Bit Ben, and welcome fans and friends. Today we're gonna be making a Super Mario Odyssey First Impressions with no spoilers review. Yeah guys, I'm sorry if that was terribly cringy, but today we're gonna be doing a sort of First Impressions entire story review of Super Mario Odyssey that actually isn't going to spoil anything. And what I mean by story is rather actually the gameplay of the entire game, which really only lasted me about 2 days. And yes, you actually heard me right, 2 days. Actually was more like 3 days, but I could have beaten it in 2 days because I was kind of distracted in one day. Just in case you guys are wondering, I'm still working on my next Hat in Time video. It's currently being rendered. I need to add some more stuff to it to finish off, but it is getting made. But today we're going to be doing a review on Super Mario Odyssey. And I won't be showing any footage in case Nintendo tries to take down this video, but these are going to be my brutally honest impressions on Super Mario Odyssey, a game that I've been highly anticipating for over, 10 years or whatever since the last Mario 3D game, which was Galaxy and Galaxy 2. Those were amazing. But the problem with Super Mario Odyssey is it feels nothing like the previous 3D Mario games. It doesn't feel like 64, Sunshine, Galaxy 1, Galaxy 2. And doesn't really feel that much like 3D Land or even 3D World. There was some things that made me feel like it felt a bit like 3D Land, a little bit. There's plenty of signs and references in the game to all previous 3D Mario games, but the game controls completely different to the previous Mario games. Like, basically, where do I start? Everything is really well polished, the graphics are amazing. Now, the game does run at 900p, but I really didn't notice any like resolution dips at all during the time I was playing this game, both in handheld and also in TV mode, which I'm really happy and impressed by. But unfortunately, the game that we actually end up getting is nothing like what I was expecting from all the trailers I was watching. And something I'm actually very disappointed by was the fact that Nintendo themselves have practically spoiled 90% of the game for all the trailers that you've watched on YouTube and on TV. You've practically seen 90% of what Mario Odyssey has to offer, and if you have been trying to avoid any spoilers and you've actually managed to get this far, don't worry, I won't spoil anything, but I want to give some impressions on what I think of the game in general. So my first impressions were very negative, surprisingly, because the first environment that you're actually in is very kind of grey and dull, and very empty and spacious, and not very straightforward. And there was actually a bit where I was getting a bit frustrated because I wasn't sure how to progress. And then I realized I had to go some character or had to throw my hat at something. But again, I don't want to spoil anything. But like that first impressions is nothing like what I've ever had from any video game or any Mario game ever. Super Mario Odyssey doesn't get to the point until at least 2 worlds later, or at least the second world. It kind of starts to focus on the character manipulation mechanic. And this is the part of the game I actually really enjoyed the most, was actually playing as all of the enemies. The way that you can use the enemies really helps separate this from all the previous 3D Mario games and 3D platformers as a whole. In fact, it gets to the point where it feels like a non-3D platformer. It actually feels like an enemy simulator. You get to play as the enemy, you get to do what the enemies do all the time, and it's kind of like, what would it be like from their perspective? What would you do? What would you do with their abilities? And like, how would you progress through the level with that? That is executed absolutely perfectly. But I actually wish there was more enemies to manipulate, because I feel like there was only really like maybe 10, 12 big ones, and the best ones were saved for the ending of the game. And that was just like, towards the end of the game, it got absolutely insane, incredible. But unfortunately, a majority of the game felt very short and small, and like there wasn't that much space to really explore around. It was very linear at times. It is more open world than 3D Land or 3D World, but like if you go back to Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, it really does feel like a galaxy. The problem with Odyssey is it doesn't feel like an Odyssey where everything is huge. There's so much to actually explore, and like from the trailers and that I've watched, it gave me the impression that each world would be absolutely humongous, but it actually ended up being like half that size. All the worlds feel about the same size as, say, about the size of Hyrule from Ocarina of Time. Like, while that area is very big, it's very spacious, there isn't that much to do in it. You only use it as a hub area. In Mario Odyssey, there is no hub area. New Donk City is just another world, by the way, because a lot of people were under the impressions that Odyssey was going to have some kind of hub world where you go from that to all the different worlds, but that's totally not how it works. It's more or less like a chapter sort of sequence where you sometimes get to choose one path or another path, but you will play the other path at some other point to progress, but at least it gives you that choice. Something I just don't understand why the levels were so small and short and none of the game felt that really. There was no particularly extremely difficult parts in the game, unlike Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 and 64 and Sunshine. This game was pretty much a breeze to get through. Now towards the end there was a couple of bosses which I had difficulty beating, but after just a couple of attempts and maybe an hour, if not even an hour to beat all these bosses, the really difficult ones, I was kind of left very disappointed. The stuff that happened towards the end with the final boss and after that was like the most mind-blowing thing I've ever experienced in a Mario game. And that's the sort of thing I want to experience more of in Super Mario Odyssey. Now what I'm hoping is, from what I've heard, there's going to be extra levels coming to Super Mario Odyssey. And something I really hope Nintendo does with the DLC levels is that they should fully utilize what Mario can do, maybe add a couple of new enemies, and add more challenge to those new DLC worlds that will really test the old school players and not just young children. I think young children are very, very capable of playing difficult games like Super Mario Galaxy 1, 2, and 64. 64 is a true example that children can play hard games. And if give a copy of Mario 64 to a young child nowadays, I guarantee you they can at least make it to Bowser in the first Bowser fight, and they'll be able to beat him eventually. But I felt like there wasn't enough polish, there wasn't enough level, it did not feel like an Odyssey, and the fact that Galaxy is a much bigger game, which is ironic. But there is some good news, and the fact that even if the game is very short, I actually haven't 100% the game yet. I can get plenty more hours out of the game, but I was actually hoping to see more environments or more of the environments, and I'm kind of just disappointed that whatever extra stuff I end up seeing now are just the bonus levels and hidden moons that I'll find throughout the levels, and that's really about it. I beat the whole game in 2 days, and all I have left now is to 100% the game and maybe play the DLC levels at some point. But for the full price of £50, I didn't actually pay that much. That would be way too little content. I ended up paying 37, which is more like it. I would have been, I'm actually pretty happy for that price with the length of the game, but I wish there was more to it. I mean, look at this. This was the previous Mario game. The previous 3D Mario game. Super Mario Galaxy 2 was an insane evolution of the first game and of the Mario formula in general. It innovated in so many areas with like the power-ups and the level design, and it was really grandiose with like the the sort of scope of all the levels, and like there was loads of different levels, and they weren't short levels either. Like that's what was good about Galaxy 2, was the levels were a lot longer than the first game, and that kind of brought a more meaning to them. I'm not quite sure how to word this. This isn't going to be my 100% review yet. I'm probably going to have to write a proper script or something like that for the 100% review whenever I get around to finishing that game. But from first impressions, the game is very, very short. There isn't that much to it other than collecting moons and stuff like that, and there's little secret areas that you can find, and there's some little challenges you can find. But why is this game the most highest rated Mario game in ages? Why is it better than Galaxy 1 and 2 when it does a lot less than Galaxy 1 and 2? It offers a lot less. It's nowhere near as innovative. I just give up with hoping for Mario Galaxy 3 at this point, because I guess if they ever did make that, then it would just be a huge disappointment. Mario Odyssey is no Galaxy 3.